Welcome to what are we in now? April meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us. Going to go ahead and get started and kind of go through what we've got going on. The first bit is some club business. Obviously, we're a little past renewals now, but if you haven't done it yet, please do. Lots of benefits to doing that. You can attend the club field trips, workshops, participate in the photo review like we're having tonight. And it's not a lot of money. A couple of cups of Starbucks and you get the whole year. So there's a lot of value in it. We also have the members only Facebook group that get to see a little more on. We don't really have anything up to update on the meeting location. We're still kind of working through that. We're still here at Bowen this month and probably will be next month as well. There's something here that I don't have. If anybody either in the room or on Zoom has any interest in helping participate and be one of the facilitators of this group, please let me know. I know Mike has been doing all this for years and it's a lot of work. And so it would be great if we had some participation to help out. Right now, we've got people handling the weekly challenges on Facebook group, the open Facebook group, and we've got Rick doing field trips, and I'm very appreciative of that because that's a ton of work. I see all the work he's doing behind the scenes. So if you have any interest in participating as a facilitator of this club, please let me know, let Mike know, let Rick know, somebody get in touch with us. The next field trip is next weekend, and Rick has been planning this for a long time. I know that we've talked about it over and over again, but I'm gonna make Rick come up here and get on camera and do it again. It'll be quick because if you haven't registered for it already, it's probably too late. No? Well, if you're a procrastinator, here's your chance. Come on, Rick.
You can next slides for the other ones too, or do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. So first I'm going to talk about the next 4 field trips upcoming, this obviously being the first one. 3 of them have been announced already, meaning you would have received an email announcement / sign up form if you clicked on the link to sign up. If you did not get that and any of these interest you, please email me directly and I will send you the links. My email is blooziguy@yahoo.com, BLOOZYGUY@yahoo.com, and I can send you the links. Already announced, and again, right up here on the screen for you is the upcoming trip next weekend. We drive down Thursday, we drive back Sunday, and in between we fill cards with pictures of birds and alligators and possibly even bison in Paynes Prairie. So a little bit different trip from the past couple of years. We may have a little bit more variety in terms of wildlife, but just a beautiful area. Gainesville, Florida is a lesser drive than some of the trips we've done so far in the past too. It's only what, 5.5 hours from Dawson? No, 6 hours from Dawsonville. So that's next weekend. You can still sign up again if you tag me with an email. I'll get that to you.
Should be on that.
Oh, there is. Okay, and our judge tonight is going to be the leader for our May 3rd trip. This was a postponement from March when Mother Nature kind of revolted against us and made us reschedule. Larry and I decided we didn't want anybody dying on this trip, so we avoided the mountaintop during thunderstorms. So we're going to do wildlife at Stone Mountain on May 3rd. We've got 18 people signed up for that right now, by the way. And it's not too late if you haven't yet. By the way, we have 13 people for the Florida trip, the extended trip. Then May 17th is Providence Canyon. Can I just do a right arrow? May 17th, Providence Canyon, and some whitewater rafting and kayaking in downtown Columbus, Georgia. And as far as I know, that is the only place in America where you can see whitewater rafting, kayaking from an urban environment as the Dam River runs right through the city. So that's a fun, that'll be really interesting to start the morning off doing some landscape Then we'll have lunch in Columbus in this big park they have there. I forget the name of it. And then from there, we can literally walk to the areas where you can photograph the kayakers and other crazy people who come down through those rapids there. So that'll be fun too. That's May 17th. And then not yet announced, June 22nd, we'll have an opportunity to hit some waterfalls up in Northeast Georgia. And our friend right here in the room with us, Joe Koveric, will be leading that trip. June 21. Yep, June 21st. And that will be Rabun County, I presume, waterfalls. Joe and I and a couple of other guys did some scouting up there recently and kind of ruled some out that may not be so great and picked some other waterfalls that fortunately most people have not seen yet. So the idea here is to hit a few waterfalls in North Georgia that a lot of folks don't even know about. And Joe happens to know about a lot of them. So got to see a couple of those last week. Looking forward to that. That announcement will be coming out soon, so don't be looking for it yet, but we'll send that out in May. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you so much, Coordinator Rick. Next month, continuing on our alternating months of guest speaker photo review. Next month, we have Mark Mayo coming in. He's going to be talking about his black and white photography workflow, which kind of ties in because one of our photo review themes coming up is what? Black and white. So I'm trying to do my best to coordinate the guest speaker with the photo review theme that we have going on for the year. It's not always easy, but that's what I'm trying to do. We're going to have Tom Wilson come do his presentation on his best places to photograph inside the state of Georgia. And then later in the year, we'll have Only in Georgia as our theme. So again, I'm trying to tie it all together. So I'm looking forward to that one and also to Tom Wilson coming up in the future. So tonight is a photo review night only. We're going to dedicate all of the meeting tonight to the photo review, and our theme is seasons. So June is going to be black and white. August will be architecture. October is Georgia only, and November is going to be reflections. There's a couple paired together there at the end because we had a couple here at the beginning of the year where we had two guest speakers in a row, so we had to kind of make that work out. So our judge tonight, you've seen a picture once already, is Larry WInslett. I'm gonna have him come stand right here just because of we can put the pictures up on the screen. Okay. And then that way the people at home can see you, we can see you. Okay. And then the people here in the room can see the big screen, and those on Zoom can see it on the screen. So we're doing seasons tonight. We had 17 submittals for photo review this month. So really happy with that. And that concludes that. And now let's do this.
Not tripping over wires.
Yeah, I know. We got lots of wires everywhere and we don't want anyone falling. You should be able to use the arrow key to move to the next one. So I'm going to turn it over to you. You can introduce yourself because you'll do it better than I would. And
all right.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight to come and get these images and talk about them a little bit. I think a lot of the people on here probably know me already. For those who don't, I live in Dahlonega, Georgia, and I've been teaching photography for close to 30 years now at various locations. I teach for the Atlanta School of Photography, for the University of North Georgia's continuing ed programs, John C. Campbell Folk School up in Murphy, North Carolina. I lead some other workshops of my own. And so actually, and I'm recently started doing some classes at the Quinlan Visual Arts Center in Gainesville. So I've been doing a few there as well. Coming up, for those of you at home can't see it, but those of you here, I did put a couple of flyers with a lot of information about different things I'm doing on the table at the back. So you can pick those up. And on the subjects of workshops, I'll just mention a couple that are coming up very soon. Any of you not going to Florida next weekend? Tomorrow morning, I'm actually at the Botanical Gardens in Gainesville. I'm doing 4 weeks of gardens right now. I'm in the middle of it. I did Gibbs, then I did Atlanta Botanical Gardens last week. I'm doing it in Gainesville this week. And the next Friday, if you're not going to Florida, I'm doing the Hamilton Rhododendron Garden, which is up in Hiawassee. It's one of the ones that most people in Georgia don't know about. And it really is a terrific azalea and rhododendron location. They're going to be in the middle of the Rhododendron Festival when I go up next week. That's for the Atlanta School of Photography. So anybody interested might want to sign up for that one and come join me on that. That's a lot of fun. The other one I want to mention that we haven't done in a while is the Holy Spirit Monastery down in Conyers on May the 2nd. Actually, the day before the Stone Mountain one that I'm leading for you guys, going to be down there. So I'll be spending the night down there somewhere in that area. But if you've never done the monastery, we get kind of free reign for the place to shoot inside. I know Brother Callistus down there very well. I've stayed down there before with them and worked for them. So that's a unique opportunity to shoot in what's a really interesting location down there. Yes, Rick.
Hamilton, what?
Rhododendron Garden.
I'm gonna look that up, so
Yeah.
obviously I can't go.
No, you can't go.
But I could go.
You could go another time. Yeah, it's kind of peak about 4 or 5 weeks in this stretch. The rest of the year is kind of interesting. This is really the peak time for that. If you're familiar with the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds, if you go into the fairgrounds location and you have to go all the way to the top of the hill on the right, and it's back up on the lake, up on that side at the top. So it's a really good location, a good shoot. Be great to see some folks join us there if you wanted to come out for that. The other one that I mentioned, that my other big workshop this year I want to mention, is Nova Scotia in August. Going there, Peggy's Cove, Halifax area, doing a lot of shooting in that area. And there's a few spots left in that one. I've got a good many people signed up for it already. But hopefully Canada will let us come back by then. We'll see. Things are going with that. Go down that road too far. but anyway, so okay, I think that's probably enough about me. I will say I've primarily been a photographer for the last 20 years, but my original background in photography is actually sports photography. That's where I started out. As you mentioned, whitewater kayaking, that was one of the 3 big ones that I've done so much of. Along with track and field and baseball. Those were the 3 biggies. But my first paying job in photography was for Track and Field News, shooting at Emory and Georgia Tech, University of Georgia. So that was my original background. But nature photography is my love, and that's what I've been doing mostly for the last 20 years. So with that, I guess we'll get into the review part of this, looking at it. And so I'm going to get in. I'll just make general comments, I guess, and we'll look at these. The first image up, the category was seasons, I believe, and I think the ones we here do kind of cover most of the seasons. The hatching of the birds here, probably in the spring with this, or sometime around now or a little before. This image, a great moment with the action on the bird. Obviously, probably a pretty fast shutter speed was used. I like the square crop on this one. I think that works pretty well for this particular image. And that also gives me a chance to mention one of the things that I notice in my classes is people don't know that they can actually change their aspect ratio in most of the cameras today, that you actually have the option to shoot as square, 4/3 or 9:16, I think it is in most of them, which is more of a panoramic. But a square crop works really well for this. I think I do wonder if maybe this image could be just a little bit warmer than what it is. I mean, since this is a sort of a pink bird, a little bit more warmth in this might bring those colors up a little bit more. But very nice shot overall. Yeah. Let's see, which one?
Arrow or the mouse. Should be the right arrow.
Should be this one.
It
But it's not.
didn't do it. Okay, we can do it right here. We can do it right there. Okay,
Okay.
there we go. Okay, familiar scene here, fall scene, obviously. West Virginia, I've been there. You had water. The day I was there, I had no water. Whoever shot this one.
Picture
This is
hasn't
an
changed.
interesting shot to me. I love I love fall color. I love the shots. Huh? From a voice from above. Anyway.
He said it hasn't changed.
Has said it hasn't changed. But this, to me, this is kind of a tough spot to shoot in. There's something going on in this image that I see a lot with mountain stream type shots and things like that. The section, I don't know, they probably can't see me point over here.
Use the mouse.
I can
Yeah.
let it show up. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, well,
No, yeah, that's.
does it show up? Yeah, it does. There you go. Cool. Very good. In these mountain streams, you get a lot of this type thing with the rocks where you have these underneath parts that are going to be very dark. And where they're at and how they balance with the rest of the image can cause some problems sometimes. It's another reason, if anybody happens to still be shooting JPEG, why you should shoot in RAW. Usually because in these darker spots, that's where you're going to get better performance to bring up some detail down in these darker areas if you need to. The composition, beautiful with the rule of thirds, the way it's laid out, the horizon line. The speed on the water is nice to give that nice silky look to it. And just a really nice shot. The lighting, obviously, overcast in the fall. I love overcast, misty days for fall photography anyway. And so this is a really nice shot. That so. Another fall shot along the stream. I don't recognize where this one is.
Creek.
It's where?
Creek.
Oh, okay. I knew that was going to
It's
happen.
right there by the 53 bridge.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I know where you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I like the shutter speed used on this. I like the movement in the water on this a lot. With this, I don't know if a polarizer was used or not. Not sure, but I like the fact that we get some motion in the water down here. One of the things that I see with stream shots like this or river shots, where they're not raging whitewater, everybody forgets to go ahead with a little longer shutter speed anyway to give some of that soft look to the water with it. So I don't know if a polarizer was used or not. Good reflection. Compositionally, the bright spot back here reflected in the water really helps keep the viewer in the middle of this image and looking back deeper into this particular image. So in landscape shots, we try to avoid bright spots sometimes, but in this kind of composition, that actually works pretty well. You can see here again where you can run into some areas where, that's another thing that's always very hard for photographers, especially beginning one, to understand that the camera doesn't contrast the same way we do. It magnifies it usually. So these are kind of areas to watch for when you're training yourself. Not bad here, fine, but just type of areas I watch for when I'm doing those. Nice straight horizon line too, by the way. little bit of a more of the foggy look. I'm not quite sure what the effect used here was. There's so many effects we can use these days on different things. I like the kind of low angle leaf in the foreground leading us, and the really strong leading line that goes all the way back through here really in this particular image, with a very soft image, again, a fall image with this one. And yeah, I like it. And again, it's another square crop like this. And so it's an interesting shot. That says you're talking, Mike.
Doesn't sound like me.
I have a ghost.
Really no sound.
Another shot here that's kind of a fall shot also. We see the fall color up in the trees. This is a totally different lighting situation than what we've seen in the first couple here, which were very soft, overcast light in those. This gives that very muted and helps pop the colors out as well. Again, there's a nice leading lines in this image as well. This is one that's got, it's really got a pretty broad histogram in this one, all the way from some brights to some pretty darks. So you've got everything going on in here. Again, I don't know if a polarizer was used on this or not. But again, if I were working on this image, I'd probably take that road right there out. I'd do something with that right there. But just because it's a little bit of a distraction to the composition. But again, pretty good. It's a tougher lighting situation than the others we've seen so far. In here, all of the others have been kind of nice, soft, even lighting. This one, a little more sun, a little more contrast, making for a different type of image, a different feel to the image when you do that. This is sort of similar to the one before. The colors are a little more vibrant in this one. The green grass against this up here in both of these last two, you had the green grass, and this one, I like the way the light has filtered through in this one, hitting the gravestone here and here really helps to highlight those. And again, this creates a nice line through here, through this image as well. In this one, so again, this one looks like maybe a polarizer might have been used on this one, but can't tell for sure, but looks sort of like it. And again, a lot of contrast in this particular image with this lighting situation. So, but I think it was well handled. If I were going to work on this image, I might try to bring up a little bit of detail on the front of these tombstones down here, but that's kind of getting picky, but maybe on that. Another mountain stream fall shot. This looks probably a little later fall. The leaves are down and on the rock. I like the angle here that this one's shot at. It's a little bit higher. I don't know if it was taken from a bridge or not. It could have been, I'm not sure, but it has nice separation with all the elements in the stream. One of the things that I see that people run into with mountain streams, we have that old adage in landscape photography, get low, put something in the foreground. The problem with that with mountain streams, a lot of times, if you get too low, everything starts to stack up on top of each other. Remember, the stream coming down this way, you get down here, you get low, you're shooting up through all of that. Where sometimes a little higher position, camera position allows you to give you all this separation of the different elements in the image. So that's very well handled in this one, and I don't know if it was from a bridge or just a little bit higher camera angle maybe, but works well. Again, this is the type of scene you play with a polarizer with. You see what it does for the colors. You see what it does to the water. I do think that I see photographers overuse polarizer with water. I like to have a little of that still there, not cranking the polarizer all the way. A lot of times water shots. So So something to think about when you're doing it. A lot of people think the polarizer is an all or nothing proposition. And it's very good to kind of manipulate there a little bit and see what you end up with doing that. I love the low angle here. This looks like it's over at Berry College at the big water wheel in the fall. And I really loved, now this is the opposite example where the getting low really worked really, really well here. Getting down, using those leaves in the foreground. And it gives you a different take than what most people do with this particular scene with most everybody focuses on that water wheel and the building when they shoot over there. Berry College is another one of those great locations I love to go shooting at over there. If you've never been, you should check it out sometimes. It's a wonderful place to shoot over there. This one, I would, you could lighten the foreground up in this a little bit, I think. But overall, I think it's good. The use of depth of field is very good. It's nice all the way through. It's a type of image where focus stacking could be used to get a really dead sharp all the way through. A lot of our cameras now are allowing you the option of doing the focus stacking in camera with it. And it works pretty well. The downside to that, at least in cameras I have at the moment, if the camera puts it together, I get a JPEG at the end, not a raw file. I get all the raw files, I can do it myself, but I get a JPEG on the end. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. So the same thing with the in-camera HDR things that we have. A lot of the cameras will have 4 or 5 different HDR settings in them. And if you happen to like what one of them does, great. I tend to not like any of them so far and like to put those together myself. But we have those in-camera tools. And if your camera allows you to do that, you definitely should give them a try and see how it works for you with it. And I did a lot of focus stacking at Gibbs Gardens when we were there a couple of weeks ago, and they turned out pretty good. So something to think about. And this is the type of image that could work well because you've got a great huge distance from this front leaf to all the way here in the background with it. And even at an f/22 or something, you might be not get it as sharp as you want all the way through. So interesting things to think about. Winter scene, a little bit different than the others. Again, another stream shot, pretty good water, the speed on the water is largely a personal choice. It doesn't have to be, that real long exposure. It can be a fast one or somewhere in between. It just depends on what you like. This one's not a good example of something I'm about to say, but it's interesting to talk about because I don't think I have another winter image in here. What I have noticed with stream shots in the winter, if you have heavy snow and you have a lot of white water and you use the long shutter speed, it gets milky. The water and the snow start to all kind of blend together. So in that situation, a little bit faster shutter speed to give some more definition to the water, at least in my opinion, tends to work a little bit better than going for the really long milky look with that. So, and overall, I would say this image is a little bit too dark. It's a nice image, but the snow is a little bit too gray. It could be brought up a little bit in post-processing to get more toward white. Looking at the sun, hopefully not too closely. We're doing this one. But again, we have similar to some of the things we've seen. We got a wonderful leading line that's in here, the use of the rule of thirds with the sky and the water down here on the bottom. The sun, if you want the sun star, I heard somebody talking about this earlier. If you want the sun star, you're usually at F/22 or somewhere. You got to go all the way on the aperture. And it just depends on the lens, how good a star you're going to get, how bright the sun is, how much extra flare you're going to get to go with it. Some lenses do it wonderfully. Canon's 24-105 is known for it. Tamron's 28 to 200 that I have actually does a really nice job with the star. So there's some different ones, and it just depends. And it's those who might not know, it's created by the blades. In your aperture, when it closes down, it's no longer a complete circle. As it gets further down, it has blades. Except in some lenses where they decided, well, we'll curve the blades now, and you don't get it in certain lenses that are out there, but a lot of the ones still do it. This is a little tough in this one because it's so bright. And when it's so bright, this bright, it's usually better to get a really good star if it's kind of peeking in from somewhere off of a tree or something like that, or out of the edge of a cloud, or once it hits the horizon line. So you're not really shooting right into the direct blaring sun. It can still work. And also for those who there's star filters with 4 points, 8 points, 6 points, ever how many points you want to buy out there if you want to buy them that help you create the star effect. I don't find that those work particularly well with the sun. They work better with street lights and things like that usually, but bunch of different filter companies make them, so find those around. The daffodil here against the black background, to me, this image it's a wonderful image, but it's a little too dark. I would definitely brighten this image up. And when you brighten it up, you might go one of two different ways. Brighten the flower up, whole background. In fact, you could go ahead and fade the background completely to black. It'd be very easy to do, maybe no detail. Or you could bring the whole thing up and have a little detail in the background. So a lot of different things you can do with this particular image. I think yellow is probably one of the hardest colors in digital photography to get right usually in the end, because we're working with red, green, and blue. And you tend to have too much red in them very often. And in Photoshop, at least, I can go into selective color and clean that up if I want to get more toward a pure yellow with that. So that can work. But it's the detail in the flower is wonderful here. I just like to see it a little brighten it up a little bit with this one. The little bluet macro shot here is supposed to be spring also. When you find these in your yard and lots of other places, it's a very tough little flower to get a good shot of. And so I think the photographer did a nice job here with this, just getting it so it's a really kind of a soft image. I love the background in here that helps highlight this. The background that's right in this, so it's very, very nice shot that way. Macro photography, I only have two rules in photography that I consider unbreakable. Light matters, backgrounds matter. And this is a good example of where the photographer did a nice job controlling the background. A lot of times this particular flowers, it's low, it's in a lot of things, very hard to separate. So I think in this case, this is very nice. Red and green, always a great color combination, works well together. A lot of red azaleas this time of year. Detail in this is really nice. A couple of interesting things about this particular image to me. Apparently our internet connection is unstable. Couple of things here that I find interesting about this image to talk about. One is, what do we do on the edges? And right up here at the top, it's clipped that one little piece of this flower off. And it's okay to clip parts of flowers off sometimes as long as it's kind of consistent in places. But when you get this close to the whole thing and you kind of don't have it right there, make sure to get it all in there. A couple of things. One, even if this was all in here and this close to the edge, if you wanted to print this and mat it and you mat it over the edge, you're still going to lose part of the flower. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever got in photography early on, of course, this was obviously way back in the film days, can do some of the things we can do a lot easier now. But the instructor said, he said, you know, we always say fill the frame, get close, fill the frame, do your composition. And he said, and then back off just a little bit. And it's a very, very good piece of advice, I think, when you do that and you leave yourself just a little bit of extra room to work with. And our cameras today have such high resolution on most of them. We're getting up into some ridiculous numbers with resolution. So cropping off a little bit is not a big deal. The other thing that's going is another thing that's going on in here, and it's implied motion. We talk about this a lot in wildlife photography, but we rarely mention it when we're talking about a more static or stationary object. This flower is looking out this side of the frame over here. It's turned toward this side. So really, it would be better to have more in front of it and less behind it. So it's in the frame that way. With that. And so it does make a difference compositionally because we're going to focus over here, and like the flower, if we're looking for more, we're probably looking over here, less so than back here anyway on this side. So how you crop it is interesting. So it's a lovely image. I love the colors and everything. That red and green is always so great. Details wonderful, but some interesting things to talk about with that. A winter shot, I think, here with this one, with this particular one, and just bands really here. It's just kind of a detail of the forest. Looks like some really soft light, maybe very early morning, could be late afternoon, one or the other. And but what's nice about the image is the way you have one band up here, you have another band in here, and then you have a nice separation in between the two. If the photographer was a little lower, this would all be one big mass of white down here at the bottom with nothing to kind of break that bottom 2/3 up a little bit. So in this case, I think that's a really good camera position with this particular one. The exposure is good, the light's interesting for this. So, a very interesting one. Obviously a winter shot in the snow. And I think this one may be just a touch dark too, but it's obviously a very dark day. It's overcast, heavy. It's actually snowing. The shutter speed was such that we catch the snow in motion, but so you have to kind of play around with your shutter speed sometimes. And one of the beauties of digital photography, our pixels are free. Shoot it at several different speeds and see which one you like best when you do it. And so it's good. But it's an interesting thing when you start playing with both rain and snow and how they're falling and what speed you're going to use to do it. And I can't give you a magic bullet for it. With snow, I tend to start around 1/60th of a second. That's the best I can give you, but I usually end up changing that to something else. But it's a starting point, is all it is. Now, compositionally, I could maybe argue for the front of the car here instead, a little bit more over here, but this particular image, because of the way the snow sits on the fender here with the light, we're really not losing a whole lot probably over there in this particular case. Okay. The bee, very nice bee. I like him a lot. Again, I think the background is wonderful. With this, we know that it's more of the same tree, most likely. The detail in the bee is very good. Bees can be difficult. Early morning for insect is always best, not later in the day, but you do the early morning. And so the wings are nice and sharp, everything's sharp, good use of the depth of field to blur the background in this particular case. And so, so just a really nice shot. I mean, you could crop this tighter if you wanted to. You could go more vertical with it. If you wanted to crop this a little bit differently, a couple of things you could do with it, but it's fine as it is, I think. So, nice exposure, nice capture, the beat. Okay. And this is probably in camera motion, ICM. See a lot of these days with it. They can be very interesting. The line in here with the road is tremendous. These tend to be more abstract, obviously. You're doing it. I would like to have a little more color or something in the sky with it, I think, for this one to be. And it's but this kind of stuff can be interesting. I've been playing with some of it lately myself as well. It's very popular these days with the in-camera motion, but an interesting image. And the roadways are always great for leading lines with those. So apparently that's the last one. And now I've gone big. There we go. Now we're too small. Now we're too big. And that's close.
It's the last one.
I think it is. Let me look at that here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Okay.
It's 17 of them.
So do you want to tell us your honorable mention?
Yes, I'll tell you my honorable mentions. The first one was the bee. It's one honorable mention. Very nice.
All right.
The second honorable mention actually was.
If you'll let me have this at the end, that way I can.
Okay, was this little guy here. That one.
Second honorable
Right
mention.
there. It's that guy. Very nice. Like that one a lot.
Actually, yeah, that's fine.
Hmm.
No, I was just gonna open the folder with the names on them so I could say who the names were.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That would probably be a good idea. Let me do that.
Okay.
Um, Stop this for just a second so that you don't have to. He got it on the paper here. I'm gonna steal his paper or at least take a picture of it.
You can take it.
Um, all right. So we're gonna go back to sharing. So the first honorable mention was the B, which was Danielle McCann. Everyone seeing that? No, it's still loading.
Now,
Technology is not my friend.
some days it is, some days it isn't.
So the first honorable mention was Danielle McCann with the B.
Okay.
And then the second one is Tracy Bagley with First Bloom.
Mhm. Nice spring shot.
All right, in the third place,
Third place is the.
which one? Okay,
That one. Yeah. That one.
that one is, Dan Rhodes. Yeah, I know that guy. It's not me, by the way.
Second place is.
Second place is Jason Blaylock. Oh, why is our screen paused? Way over, that's, oh.
It looked familiar. Right, see it.
Okay, so we're gonna try this again because it doesn't want to just keep jumping back and forth. So the second honorable mention was Tracy Bagley. And then third place was Dan Rhodes. I'm looking at it on another computer to make sure you guys can still see it before I change.
They're still on traces.
That's the kind of delay we're working with. Like, this is why we're trying to find a new place to meet, folks, because it's solid 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So I apologize. This is a little hard to work with. And second place was Jason Blaylock. And we're still looking on my other screen over there that, like, we could go make a sandwich in between the time I click on it and when it's gonna come up.
Run over to Dairy Queen.
Yeah, we go get a blizzard and we'll come back. So Jason Blaylock, congratulations, second place. And first place is, I don't have that one open yet. Amicalola Creek,
That's fine.
that with Lisa Hilty. Oh, that's why you knew where it was.
Of course.
There was sort of a hint.
Well, there's a story behind that. Every
Okay.
fall, when I go shoot Amicalola Creek fall colors, they have the trail down to edge of the world closed down because of deer hunt.
Mm.
And so you can only really get there under the bridge and shoot either downstream or upstream.
Mm.
Because you're really not even supposed to be there, but I figure I'm pretty safe when I'm there at the 53 bridge, that nobody's gonna shoot me. So,
Yeah.
that's the story.
You're
behind
risking
that.
it for the shot.
There you go. It's the story behind the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
yeah, good, good. Oh, so
And it's
nice.
still-
They were all interesting. It was an interesting group of images. Enjoyed looking at them.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you being here,
Okay.
and appreciate your feedback. There was a lot of helpful critique in there that I saw some note taking going on, so that's always good. That's what I like to see is that, we get some notes going on and can, because it's not just your image, it's other people's images that you might like them and you hear the feedback and you can learn from it. I mean, I learned a couple of things from this tonight on images that weren't mine. And that I can think about and put into effect in the future. So.
Okay, all
All
right,
right, try not to trip.
all right. Thank you guys again.
Thank
By the way, like I said, these are back there, if you want to pick up the big long story.
What's the fun? There's the colors.
Well, everyone, when we just do photo review, we're not here till 10 o'clock. So you can eat dinner. It's still daylight outside. You can still go out and take some pictures and put the stuff you learned tonight to good use. Again, thank you, Larry, for being here. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to next month when we talk about black and white workflow with Mark Mayo. We're going to have lots of field trip pictures to look at, I'm sure, because there will be 2 field trips that happen between now and the next meeting. Because the third field trip will be after the next meeting. So we'll get people that went on the field trips. I want to try to get them to send me some pictures so that I can put in the slideshow and kind of show what everyone was doing on these field trips, kind of just to show what you can do and be a part of when you are one of our paid members, is that you get to have access to these field trips and go on these trips, because the best thing about being a photographer is going out with other photographers. It is a lot of fun because you don't have someone going, would you hurry up and stop taking pictures? If-
What the other guys saw. It's
Yeah.
the spot that you're at.
And that's a great point, is you can be standing right next to somebody else taking a picture of something similar. And when you get back and review pictures together, you're like, wow, I never even thought about composing it like that. And yeah,
Yeah, that's what I add to what you're saying. Leading workshops and things like that, I do think one of the greatest values of workshops, I mean, you get instructors and you get their point of view, but I think the interaction.
Absolutely.
We get groups that really interact with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we have different experiences, we have different cameras, there's so many different things you can talk about when you get together with a group.
you can always learn from other people on the trip. So
To your point on seeing different perspectives, that shot that from Jason Blaylock at Berry College, I was with him when he made that shot. He showed me that in the camera. And at the time I thought, damn, I wish I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
Around there.
Yeah.
What a great, yeah, what a great idea.
my dad tells a story of one of the very first times he and I went to the Smokies 15 years ago. We were at Mingus Mill, taking pictures of the mill, and we were standing less than 6 feet apart. And the resulting images were so completely different. It was like, I never even thought to shoot that spot with a longer lens and zoom in and get a detail of that. I was thinking great big picture. And when you showed me, when he saw the one I did with an 85 millimeter instead of 16, it was opening a concept that you wouldn't have thought about otherwise. So every time I go out with a group of people, I always enjoy it. So we're going to try to really show what the group gets to do when they go on the field trips. So, but thanks for everyone for being here. Does anyone have any questions? I see one in the chat here. Looking forward to the next meeting. Thanks, Larry, for your review. Yep, absolutely. Anyone got any questions before we sign off for the evening?
Light group tonight.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Everyone have a good evening. How far behind? Way behind. I'm frozen over there. All right.
Now you're smiling.